Hi, this is Darren Lyle. Hey, if you haven't taken a look at the newest version of MakeHuman, I'd suggest you do. I love this. This is why I get up in the morning. This is great. I had looked at it a couple of years ago, but I hadn't really looked at it recently. But I just downloaded it a couple of weeks ago, and I've been playing with it. And let's take a look at it here. What you can do is actually create your own 3D characters. You get kind of a character blank here, and you can actually just adjust sliders to make it more male, to make it more female, to increase the age and muscle and the weight of the character. And very quickly you can get very cool, um, very cool characters here. So, so let's say I want to bring a character like this into my scene. Maybe I'm making a game or something like that. There are a couple of considerations you need to make if you're going to bring in something for like a game. One is that keep in mind that these are pretty high res characters here. So bringing something into a game, bringing something like this into a game may not be the best option. But if you go to geometries here and then to topologies, you can choose lower poly options here. So this is the male character with 1591 polys, or you can even come down to 741. So you can create proxies, low poly versions of your high poly models here. So that's one thing. I thought that was kind of cool. The next thing also is that you get materials. There's not a whole lot of them, but they look pretty good. And what they do is they export out into a textures folder and is a color map of skin. So say with this one, young Caucasian male sweat. So you get some fairly nice textures here that look pretty good on the model. So I thought that was pretty cool. Also, under modeling here, you can select and change the head shape, the neck shape. So you can age your character more and change the shape of the head more. Yikes. That's kind of spooky. So you've got all this control that you can have over the shape of the character's head or the torso here. Say you wanted to give him more of that V-shape look in the torso here. So you could increase the size of the shoulders there. In addition, you've got controls over arms and legs, the hands. Say you wanted to make this arm more muscular, you could come in here and increase the size of the bicep here, right? You could increase the length of the arm, although I don't think that's quite a good thing. You could increase the size of the bicep from the front here, really beef him up a bit. And then once you're done with this, you can mirror the geometry or mirror your changes over to the other side by just clicking here, symmetry left to right, and that will add it over to the right. Okay, so there's just a lot to play with here. So I won't go into all of it. Half of the fun of this is just playing around and seeing what you can do. Let's talk about exporting this character out to Blender. From what I've found, there are two good ways to do this. And I'm going to come over here and click Export. And now you get this, these options here. You can export it as a collada, wavefront, and other things, even a BVH file for the rig. But what I'm going to choose is this Blender Exchange. This works pretty well. And under using Blender Exchange, you've got kind of two options. One is to use the built-in MakeHuman rig, and the other is to use a basic rig that then Blender can build a rig on top of using the Rigify add-on. So let's try both of these and see what the options are. For the first option, I think I'm going to turn on a couple of things for the character. One is I'm going to come over to the Geometries tab and click on Teeth, and I'm going to just turn on a basic teeth shape. And the next one I'm going to do is come over here to the tongue and turn on the tongue so that he gets teeth and a tongue. Now I'm going to go back to export here. And the reason why I turned those on is because there is a difference between the MakeHuman rig and the Blender Rigify rig involving the mouth and the tongue. So that's just one of the differences. So let's go ahead and export this out to Blender. I'm going to choose a place to take this. I'll just put it on my desktop and call this Export 1. And now let's do this again, and this time turn on Export for Rigify, and we'll call this Export 2. All right, so now let's go into Blender and see what we've done. What MakeHuman gives you when you export is it gives you these MHX files. And so here's my export 1 and 2, and also it creates a textures folder. And in there, you can see it's got the textures for the skin, the tongue, the teeth, and the eyes. So that's what you get when you export. Let's go ahead and open one of these up. I'm just going to select everything and delete everything out of my scene here. And now you can't just open it. You've got to go to File, Import, and import a MakeHuman MHX. Now, if you don't see MakeHuman MHX under your import selections, you need to go into your user preferences and your add-ons and search for Make or MakeHuman and just put a check mark right here by the add-on, and that should enable it. So when you go to File, Import, you see MakeHuman MHX. So let's do that. Let's open this up, go to the desktop, and here's Export 1. So let's import that. And here he is. So now it looks kind of like a mess, but it's pretty cool. Let me show you what you can do with this. I'm going to hit the N key to bring up the N panel here. And here's all of the information that comes with the model. And what this allows you to do, when you bring it in, it's FK. In other words, forward kinematic. So if I choose one of these control objects, and there's a rig hidden away underneath here, these are all control objects to allow you to move the character without touching the actual bones of the character. So if I come to this control object here, and if I say turn on the rotate tool, and I'm going to change from global to gimbal, let's say, and that will allow us to rotate along the axis of the arm here. Now we can bend the arm, and the skin weights are really pretty nice. They do a good job of deforming the character. Same way with the legs down here. You can choose a control object and bend the legs. Now, what if I want inverse kinematics? What if I want to be able to grab the foot and move it around so that the whole leg follows along? What you can do is you can come over here. I'm going to go to the left leg and turn on IK. I'm just going to click this, and that turns on IK. Now I can grab this foot control here, go to my move tool, and move this around, and that will grab the whole leg. Now this little guy right here is the knee control. You can move him, and the knee will aim toward that object, toward that control object, which is pretty cool. I love this stuff. Here is the waist control, and it's the center of gravity. Notice with IK on with one leg, the foot stays planted, and without IK on or FK, the foot isn't planted. So I'm going to turn IK on the right leg, and now when I move this guy around, he does a little dance. Woohoo! So this is the MakeHuman rig, and it's a really good rig, I think. Now, the differences. Here are the differences between the MakeHuman and the Rigify. One is the eye controls. You can select this and move it around, and I don't know if you can see the eyes moving along with it. Another thing you get is the jaw control. And with this, you can open the jaw, and you can also do a little bit of rotating on the other axis to get a little mastication here. Wait a minute. Is that the right word? I think it is. Also, you get a tongue control right there. So you can actually have control of the tongue. And that's why I turned on teeth and tongue in MakeHuman. All right, so here we have the first export. Let's take a look at the next one. I'm going to create a new scene here just to begin with. Select everything, delete it, and now I'm going to import that second export file that we created. I'm going to go to MakeHuman and export to. Now let's take a look at what happens here. When this rig comes in, you've got some different kinds of controls. And notice you do not have the jaw control, tongue control, or the eye control. It's still a good rig. It's still very well weighted. You have FK controls just like the other rig, right? You've got, so here's the FK controls. You've got some interesting and different controls on the fingers. Not only do you have FK controls here, but also you have these controls that you can scale, and it will just rotate the entire finger at once. And you can also rotate that entire control object as well. So this one's kind of nice. So you've got good hand and finger controls here. Now, another cool feature of this particular rig is that you've got stretchy. Now that is cool. You've got the ability to stretch these the limbs of the character. You don't see that every day. That's nice. So that may be useful if you're doing a very cartoony thing. But let's take a look at the in panel over here and see the differences. But the way you switch from IK to FK is a little different. So let's say I wanted to change the legs here from IK to FK. If I select this control object here, I'm going to go to my move tool here and move this around, it doesn't do anything now. Currently, this object or this rig is in FK. The leg is using FK to control the rotations. But if I select that object here, I have a slider here, and with this slider I can change from FK to IK. So if I drag this all the way over to the right and select this again, now when I move that object around, I get IK rotations. Now another thing you can do with the Rigify rig is to import BVH motion capture files and have your character run around or do whatever. So let's take a look at that. What you can do is you can go to cgspeed.com and you can download all kinds of interesting BVH files. What I've done is I've gone to this DAS-friendly version, and you can download folders full of BVH files that you can play with. All right, so let's get to the fun part here. Let's actually try and import a BVH motion capture file and get this guy running around. Now, there are a couple of things you need to do to prepare for this. One is to go to MakeHuman, go to their website and go to download and download the Blender tools. What that'll do is it'll download several add-ons for Blender. Now, once you download them, you're going to get a Blender Tools folder with a couple of folders inside of that. And what you need to do is copy those folders into the add-ons folder under your Blender version. Now, on a Mac, it's a little different than you'd expect. For Windows and Linux, you can get to these folders. They're not hidden away, but on a Mac, they are hidden away. So if I go under Applications, and here's my Blender 2.71, if you go under that folder, you don't see any scripts or add-ons folder or anything. What you have to do is right-click on the Blender app and then choose Show Package Contents. Now, once you do that, you can see the contents, Mac OS, the version, and under that you have scripts and add-ons. And under this add-ons folder, you will copy the make close, make target, make walk is really the most important, and there's one or two others. So just copy those folders into this add-ons folder. All right, so let's go back, and once you've done that, and if you go into your user preferences and under add-ons, you'll see this category called MakeHuman. Now under there, I've enabled these add-ons under the MakeHuman category here. And I believe the make walk is really the one that's going to make this happen. Okay? All right. So now that we've done that, if you scroll down on the Tools tab, you can see all the MakeHuman tools here, the target armature, source armature, options, etc., etc., etc. But right here under the main, this is what we want right here. So if I just click on load and retarget, and I'm going to choose a BVH file that I've downloaded from cgspeed.com. I'm just going to choose this one here and click load and retarget. It'll think for a while, and then sure enough, what it will do is load the BVH file, target the existing rig to that file. I'm going to turn under display, I'm going to turn off relationship lines here. And then if you just hit play, you've got animation. I mean, that is cool. You got to admit. Now we can do the same thing for the other rig as well. So if I go back to, I'm going to go to a new file here. And if I go back to that original export, I'm going to import MakeHuman export 1. So now that I have him loaded up, I can scroll down over here, go to load and retarget, choose that same file, and he does the same thing. Once again, I can just hit play and we have our animation. Well, I hope that's been helpful. It's certainly been a lot of fun for me to play with. Until next time, take care.